children, welcome to today's class. In today's class, we are going to begin the second lesson from your social studies textbook, that is evolution of transport and communication. This lesson has two parts. One is evolution of transport and second one is evolution of communication. But in today's video, we are going to learn about the history of transport and the modern day transport. How transport evolved. We know that man passed through different stages of evolution. He passed through different ages like Paleolithic age, Mesolithic age, Neolithic age and Chalcolithic age. During this period, he had a drastic change in his brain development and physical development, which led to invention of different tools for his day-to-day activities. Man invented different tools for hunting, for food, for other purposes, and he also invented transport. Can you imagine a life of staying in the same place without moving here and there? Can you stay in the same place? You have to move to one place to another, right? So if you have to move from one place to another, you need to have some means of transport. Either you will go by walk, or either you will use some animals, or you will use some vehicles. Similarly, man also realized the need to move from one place to another. And we will also learn in this video why man wanted to move from one place to another. So when he realized the need to move from one place to another, he invented different means of transport. So now let's learn the evolution of transport from the beginning. Animals were used as means of transport. We know that during the Neolithic age, man started domesticating animals. He started domesticating animals such as elephants, horses, mules for his daily activities. So he used these animals as means of transport to carry heavy loads. What he used to do, if he has to travel to other places, he used to sit on the animals and go. Or if they had to move any goods, they used to put it or place it on the back of the animals and move. But this became difficult because the animals are not that strong. They were not able to carry heavy goods and they were not able to cover long distances. So man was finding it difficult with animals, due to which there was the invention which caused the invention of wheel. Then man invented wheel. Initially he invented wheel using the stone. If you look at the first picture, the wheel is carved with stone, or they used to use round logs of wood. They are cutting the logs here. They used to use round logs of wood and they used to make wheel. So whatever goods they had to pass, they used to place it on the wheel and they used to pull with the rope. So wheel was used to transport goods from one place to another. Even this became difficult. It was not easy, because heavier goods were not being transported easily. Then they got another plan. Invention of frame called sledges. What they did is, they prepared frames made out of wooden logs or sticks. They made the frames and they placed the goods on those frames, and using a rope they used to pull the goods. Either man used to pull the goods or they made animals to pull the goods. They found it a little easier. So initially they used animals, then they used wheels, then they used these frames called sledges. What happened next? Next led to the invention of carts. They were not able to use these frames for a long period of time, and they could not take the sledges to move the goods to longer distances. So what they did, they already had the plan of moving goods with wheel, and they also know that animals can be used. So using these wheels and animals, they prepared carts. What are carts? Carts are vehicles pulled by animals, maybe by horses or bullocks. So they prepared carts, and this became easier for them to move the goods from one place to another. Why did man move from one place to another? Why did he realize the need to move from one place to another? Initially, we know that man was dependent on the food that was provided by the nature. What was freely available in the nature? Maybe fruits, vegetables. Gradually, he started hunting the animals and eat. Then, he gradually started growing crops. After that, he realized that he need to have some trade. He need to have some business. He also realized that for his food, to get the food, he has to move from one place to another. And that's why man started to invent different means of transport. Changing times and changing wheels. We know the first thing man invented was a wheel that was made of stone. Then we have cart wheel, and then the last one which we have is a modern day wheel. So wheel is a very prime factor in the invention of transport, because even today if you see any vehicle that has a wheel, your motor car, your bicycle, your car, your bus, the train, and also the aeroplane has a wheel. And the last wheel, if you can see, it is a wheel that is made of rubber, which is more durable and it gives speed to the vehicle. So wheel has always been a prime factor in all the means of transport which we use even today. Reaching distant places and trading. I told you initially man was having food what was available in the nature. Then he started to grow crops. Then he realized the need for trade, that is buying and selling goods. So for that he had to move to different places. People used to settle in different locations, so they had to reach out different peoples in different locations. That is why transport was invented. Okay, so first thing they did was to have trade. During olden days there was no money. There was no money. Like present day we have money. We have cash like notes and coins. We have plastic money like credit cards or debit cards. We have internet banking. We have phone pay and Google Pay, all other digital transactions. But olden days there was no money. Man did not have any money. So he had one system called as barter system. That is called as barter system. What is barter system? Barter system is a system in which goods and services are exchanged instead of paying money. So if you want something, you exchange the goods with others. If you need something, you exchange the good with the other person or services with other person. There is no money involved. It's just exchange of goods and services. That is the trade system that was followed in the beginning. Next was voyages. Voyages is nothing but a long journey either by land or by sea. So we had many voyagers or explorers who came to different countries for trade. Initially trade began in their own locality and then it moved to different places. You know that Britishers had come to India. Why did the Britishers come to India? They came to India because they wanted to have trade in India. They knew India was rich in spices and they wanted to have trade in India. How did the Britishers come to India? How did they know that there is a place called India? We will know about it. We had famous explorers who visited India. One among them was Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus was an Italian explorer and a navigator. He had 4 voyages around the Atlantic Ocean during which he found out or he discovered America and West Indies. His main motive was to come to India. He wanted to reach India and he set to a voyage in Atlantic Ocean to reach India. But when he reached West Indies, he thought that West Indies is India and he stopped there. He stopped there and he thought that West Indies is India. His motive was to reach India, but he was not able to reach India. Next one is Vasco da Gama. Vasco da Gama, he reached Calicut reached India in 1498. He was a Portuguese navigator or a Portuguese explorer. He was the first person to travel directly to India from Europe. So he is the one who discovered India. He discovered the trade route to India from Europe. And then there were many explorers or many voyagers who came to India. About them you will learn in detail in your next classes or next grades. This is the way trade route was found out to India. Then the Britishers followed them. So with the help of transport, even the voyagers set out on voyages to find out different places and countries for trading. Now let's learn. We learned about the evolution of transport, that is how transport was used in the olden days or the ancient times. And let's have a look at the modern day transport. We have transport. Everyone knows that we have transport. We have vehicles. We have different means of transport. So which are the three types of transport which we have now? First one is land transport. Then we have water transport. And the last one is air transport. So the present day, the modern day transport is divided into three groups, that is land transport, water transport and air transport. Let's move on to land transport. What is land transport? Land transport means movement of people or goods from one place to another in vehicles through land routes. Land transport means land routes. You use different vehicles to move from one place to another through land routes. And this land transport is further divided into two groups, that is roadways and railways. One is roadways where you use roads. Second one is railways. Roadways. What is roadways? Roadways is you travel through roads. And you have different means of roadways like bus, motorbike, car, truck and many more. So roadways we have national highways, we have different highways, we have different roads to commute through roadways. Next we have railways. We know railways. Railways are the vehicles that move on tracks. Those are railways. We have different types of railways. We have train, we have metro, we have bullet train and monorail. We have train, we know train. Then we have metro, like cities like Bangalore or Mumbai, Delhi, they have metros. We have bullet trains and monorail. Let's move to the features of land transport. Bicycles, motorbikes, cars and buses are used for short distance travel. So we use bicycles, motorbikes, cars and buses for short distance travel. So land transport is very easiest transport because you can reach your destination easily. You can take your bike or your car, your auto rickshaw or your bus till your house, whereas you cannot take the train or your aeroplane till your doorstep. So land transport, and that too roadways, it is the most convenient means of transport, but you cannot use it for long distances. Trains carry people and bulky goods over long distances. We know that trains carry people. They carry a lot of people and they carry bulky goods. We have goods trains. You must have seen the goods train is so long, it will have more than 50 to 60 bogies. So they are able to carry bulky goods and a lot of goods from one place to another. And trains are also the very convenient means to travel for long distances. Metro trains are cheap and convenient. The metro trains are cheap and convenient because in most of the metro cities like Mumbai, like Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, people commute through metros because it is very cheap and very convenient. Most of the offices will be located near the metro stations, so it becomes easier for them to travel to work or to home. Bullet trains are the fastest mode of of land transport. I'm sure my dear children, you know about bullet trains. Bullet trains are very fast and bullet trains are the fastest mode of land transport. Among the land transport, bullet train is the fastest one. Let's move to the next one, that is water transport. Water transport means what? Transport in waterways, different water bodies. We have ferry or the small boat, we have a ship, then we have cruise liner, big huge cruise liners, and we have cargo ships. There are some different ships also, but these are the main ones. Let's move to the features of water transport. It involves the movement of goods or people from one place to another along waterways. So, water transport means transportation or movement of goods from one place to another using waterways. Inland water transport carries people and goods across rivers, canals, lakes within the country. Within the country, when you take the goods from one place to another or you take people from one place to another, it is called as inland transport. It is called as inland transport. Ocean transport carries people and heavy goods on seas and oceans. Ocean transport means you make use of the big cruise liners to take people, or you take the cargo ships, the heavy ships, to take heavy goods on seas and ocean, that is within the country. But if you have to take people and goods outside the country, you use the same ships or the same cruise liners and cargo ships, but they are international transport, that is international transport. That time we use large ships. Submarines are used by naval forces for the defense of a country. This is a submarine that is used by the defense department for the defense of the country, usually during war times or for the security of the country. These submarines are used. Last one is air transport. We all know about air transport. Air transport means the transport or movement that is using air force. We have aeroplane, helicopter and cargo plane. We all know aeroplanes. We also know helicopters, and this is cargo plane. Cargo plane takes all the goods. Like we have the goods train. Let's move to the features of air transport. Movement of people or goods from one place to another by air route. Fastest means of transport. Yes, aeroplane or air transport is the fastest means of transport. If you have to reach Dubai, you reach Dubai within 3.5 hours or sometimes within 3 hours. So within a day you reach Dubai and you can come back using a flight. Imagine you have to reach Mumbai and you take a bus. How many hours will it take? It takes around 16 to 17 hours. But if you take a flight the same day, you will reach Mumbai within 40 minutes. That is why air transport is the fastest means of transport, and at the same time it is the most expensive one as well. Aeroplanes are used to carry people and goods over long distances. Aeroplanes carry people. We know that we travel to different places, especially if we have to travel abroad to different countries, to foreign countries, we make use of aeroplanes, either aeroplanes or ships, but mainly we use aeroplanes. Even aeroplanes carry goods. The aeroplanes that carry goods are cargo planes. We saw in the picture, right? They are cargo planes. Helicopters are extensively used for rescue operations during natural disasters. You know an helicopter. It can be used for not long distances but short distances. Usually it is used as rescue operations during natural disaster, when there is a flood or an earthquake, or if there is any emergency, they make use of helicopter. And there are many people, rich people or celebrities, they own the helicopter for their personal use. And children, even there are people who are having their private aeroplanes also, okay. So they own their own private aeroplanes. Some rich people, some celebrities like Ambani's, they have their own aeroplanes and helicopters. Fighter planes are used by the air forces for the defense of a country. So these are fighter planes. These are used by the air force of the country. Even in Indian Air Force, we have these fighter planes which are used during wars or for the security purpose of our country. So in this class, we learned about the history of transport and the modern day transport. Just let's have a quick recap. History of transport. We know how man invented different means of transport. First, he invented wheel made out of stone or wooden logs. Then he invented sledges or frames. Then carts. But initially, man used to have only animals to transport goods and to move from one place to another. So first he had animals, then wheel, then sledges, finally carts. We learned about voyages and explorers. Who are the famous explorers we learned? One is Christopher Columbus, the Italian explorer who discovered America and West Indies. Next one is Vasco da Gama. Vasco da Gama, he reached India in 1498 and he is the first explorer to travel directly from Europe to India, and he found out the trade route to India. We learned about trade. We learned about barter system. Barter system means exchange of goods and services. Modern means of transport. We also learned what are the modern means of transport. We learned the changing wheels. In modern transport, we learned land transport, which is further divided into roadways and railways. Water transport. We learned about water transport, the features of water transport. We learned about air transport. Air transport, the features of air transport. We also learned that air transport is the fastest means of transport and the most expensive means of transport. I am sure, my dear children, you might have understood the lesson. It's a very interesting lesson. You need to read the points to remember which are there in your social science textbook. At the end of the lesson, you have points to remember. Please read them. You also read the lesson. In the next video, we are going to learn about the history of communication and different means of communication. We will learn how man communicated from one to another. Okay? Thank you, my dear children. Have a nice day and please take care of yourself.